Hey, what is going on, guys? Today I'm sharing with you my review of the Logitech G29. If you're watching this video, maybe you're interested in buying a G29 for yourself. So I'm going to be sharing with you the pros and cons of this wheel and overall if I recommend it. Logitech wheels for a long time have been the king of entry-level sim racing, from the old gear-driven wheels of yesteryear to the brand new G923, which I don't recommend you buy. I will talk about that briefly a bit later on in this video. We are going to be taking a look at, I guess, technically the last generation Logitech wheel, the G29, and the one, if you are going to buy a Logitech wheel, I recommend you buy. Right now, this wheel can be had on Amazon for just $300 USD. That is a wheel as well as the pedals. This is everything you need to get started in sim racing for just $300. There is also the Logitech G920, which is for Xbox. The G29 is PlayStation compatible. So if you're going to be using this wheel on an Xbox, then of course you're going to have to get the G920. But if you're on PC or you're on PlayStation, of course, I recommend you get the G29 because it has more buttons and it also has the really cool shift lights. Now let's get into the pros of this wheel, and let's start out with build quality. This thing, for being $300, is really built well. I also have reviewed the PXN V9 on this channel, which, while retails for $100 less and is not a force feedback wheel, it is absolutely cheap feeling compared to this. You have a real leather wrapped steering wheel. Besides that, there are a couple little sheet metal pieces. Most of it is plastic, but it's not cheap feeling plastic, and especially the reel rim itself, which is what you're going to be touching most, feels great. The pedals as well, the faces of them are made of metal. The main construction of it is plastic, but you do have some metal pieces in there, and overall, this wheel is built to last. Speaking for the G29, the shift lights are another pro. For most people, you're probably not going to notice them because you only really notice shift lights if you're in a formula seating position where basically your eye level is pretty damn near on level with your rim. But for the G29, it is definitely nice to have. I would also say for $300, another pro of this wheel is the force feedback. It is gear driven, which is the most entry level type of force feedback, but that doesn't make it bad. It has about 2.5 Newton meters of torque, just enough to where you can get some feeling through the wheel. It's definitely no direct drive wheel, but $300 for this whole package is absolutely fantastic, and the force feedback is definitely serviceable. Especially coming from my CSL DD, you can feel a bit of cogging as you are literally switching between all of the little gear teeth, but if this is your first wheel, you probably won't notice it, and even when I say that I do notice it from a direct drive wheel, that is grossly overstating it, as I'm coming from something that literally is 100% smooth. Another pro for this wheel is the mounting system. It is built right into the wheelbase, so if you are mounting this on a table, then you will be perfectly squared away, as well as if you have a rig, it will mount onto the rig itself. Overall, this wheel is very easy to use. If you have Logitech G Hub, then you already know what you're doing. If you have Logitech peripherals like a keyboard or mouse, you change all of the settings through there, and it is quite intuitive, and you won't have much trouble getting this thing set up. Another pro of this wheel is its compatibility. It is the most popular sim racing wheel, so literally any single title you play that has wheel support will support the G29. F1 games, Assetto Corsa, Forza, iRacing, R-Factor 2, whether it's Simcade or full-on racing sim, it will be supported by the G29, no questions asked. Another great thing about this wheel, because it is the most popular sim racing wheel, if you do have an issue, there are bountiful amounts of answers and help online, so you will pretty much have an answer to any issue you may come across. Another pro, especially for the Logitech G29, is the amount of buttons. There are 18 mappable buttons on the wheel rim, 17 if you don't count the rotary encoder as a button, but you can still bind it to maybe your TC or something like that. This means that no matter what car you're driving, you will have enough buttons to map all of its functions: traction control, ABS, ERS deployment, whatever it may be, you will be able to have it on this wheel. And of course, you have the paddle shifters as well, which are perfect for Formula and GT cars. For $56 more, you can also buy a H-pattern shifter and use that clutch pedal that of course comes with the default pedals with your G29. So if you do want to drive manual cars, you are going to have to fork over an extra $60, but if you compare that to something like the Fanatec H-pattern shifter, you are definitely getting a really good deal on this whole package. So we have talked about 6 minutes of pros, but it's time we get to some cons, and there aren't that many, but the first one and the biggest one, and pretty much the only one, is the pedals, more specifically the brake pedal. It is a potentiometer-based pedal, which, if you don't know, potentiometers measure the distance you press the pedal, and a load cell pedal, which if you have the Fanatec CSL pedals with the load cell kit, or the Thrustmaster TCLM pedals, or especially Husingveld pedals, they are load cells, which measure the pressure you put onto the brakes like a real race car. The brake pedal feel is very light, even compared to normal potentiometer-based pedals, and if you have a bit more money to spend, if you want my honest opinion, I would buy the Fanatec CSL pedals. You don't need to buy the load cell one. You could buy the regular pedals for under $100, and the potentiometer brake that you're going to get with that is miles better than the standard Logitech one. Also, looking at other users' experiences, the brake potentiometer is usually the first thing to go, so you're either going to have to buy new pedals or find a way to fix it DIY. Also, what was really weird to me is the brake pedal travel itself. It's not linear at all. The first 70% is really easy to press, and then the final 30%, especially if you have your braking force set to 100, which I highly recommend you do, is really hard. It almost feels like you're pressing against a wall, and it's just really weird. You get used to it after a while, but it's definitely not the most realistic feeling brake pedal I have ever used. Overall, for the price of $300, usually even $250 or sometimes $200 on a sale like this one was on Amazon Prime Day, this is an absolute steal, and if you're interested in getting into sim racing, I highly recommend, if this is in your budget, to pick it up. And if you are interested in driving manual cars, this whole setup after tax and shipping is probably going to run you about $400. Overall, it is an absolute steal, in my opinion, for what you're getting. You're not going to be having the most realistic sim racing experience, but if you're just coming into the hobby, you don't know if you're necessarily going to like it, or maybe this is just what is in your price range. You are going to have an amazing, super reliable wheel that will last you for years and years to come until you're ready to upgrade. But yeah, that was just my limited experience and review with the Logitech G29. If you have one of these wheels and you've been daily driving it for a while, tell me your experiences in the comments below. And thank you guys for watching. If you found this review helpful, a like and a sub would mean a lot. And I will see you all in the next one. Have a good one, guys.